I've just come out of watching the UCL draw, and let me tell you, it's one of the most hectic affairs of the last few seasons. You've asked for it, and well, here it is. Today I bring you my group stage prediction for the upcoming season of the Champions League. There is no script here, so things might get a little bit out of order. What's going on, guys? ¿Cómo están? Bullies here and welcome back to another video here on the channel. And just before we get into it, I want to let you know some quick 3 things. The very first one, there's a new episode of the Engine Room podcast uploaded right now. Links are going to be in the description down below, so go there, check it out. We talk about all of the weekend's action. Then also I want to let you know that we've uploaded a new video on Pedri and actually analyzing in depth how much football did he actually play. And last but not least, we also have a live reaction to the UCL draw. So if you like what you saw here and probably want to see some more, go and check it out. But well, guys, starting with the very first group, Group A. Manchester City, Paris Saint-Germain, RB Leipzig, and also Club Brugge. When this draw came out, let me tell you guys, I didn't know what to think. My brain was going absolutely everywhere because we had Messi versus Pep Guardiola. Messi versus a team that he actually had to go to. We also could have potentially get Ronaldo moving to Manchester City, so that means that Messi and Ronaldo will meet again, but not only meet again in the best 2 clubs right now in the world, but the 2 clubs that are literally just injecting humongous amounts of money into them. So it makes them kind of like El Clásico. And it's just going to be absolutely incredible to see these 2 teams face again. Last season, it was an incredible watch. But this year, I think it's going to be even more because of the added factor of those 2 superstars that may join. Messi have already gone to PSG, but we do not know about what's going to happen with Cristiano Ronaldo. So that is also going to be another factor. And if I'm pretty sure about Cristiano Ronaldo and the way that he is, he's going to be seeing this draw and he's, saying to Jorge Mendes right now, like, hello, yeah, can I go to Manchester City because I want to be the star in those 2 games. And he probably wants to have the baton pass because right now this window, nothing really has been talking about Cristiano Ronaldo. So his ego needs a little bit more kind of charcoal to fuel the fire. But moving back into football reasons, I think this group is up there with probably the second biggest group of death. There's one more, which it could be either one depending on your preference, but I think that this group, Manchester City will top it. And here's my reasoning why. I think that Manchester City right now, with the stable kind of system that Pep Guardiola has ingrained into them, they're going to have the better chances to just be more solid throughout the entirety of the games. If you add into that Cristiano Ronaldo, who may come in, we know that Harry Kane will not be moving to Manchester City this window, they're going to get a striker, a poacher that will just simply be able to finish everything that they put on a plate. And we know that Manchester City like to create a lot of chances. You got De Bruyne, you got Mahrez, you got Bernardo Silva, you got Sterling, you got now Jack Grealish. All of these serial playmakers, creative players, they're going to be linking up to just one main man, and that could potentially be Cristiano Ronaldo. If that ends up happening, well, we're going to be seeing a pretty devastating attack, and even more so something than PSG. The thing about PSG is that we have incredible superstars in Di Maria, Neymar, Messi, Icardi, Mbappe. You add them to the list, we got an incredible list of names there as well. But the thing with PSG is that perhaps they don't have the best system in place so far. They don't have that many years playing together. Of course, they're going to have more sparks of brilliance because on paper, I think the players that they have are better, particularly those 4, Di Maria, Neymar, Messi, and Mbappe. But if you ask me how Pochettino will feed all of these pieces together, I'm not yet quite sure. Messi is a very difficult player to play with, not only for but also against. So if you add into that Messi will potentially occupy a very similar position like he did at Barcelona, so right wing /10 or a number, like a cam, we're gonna be seeing pretty much a very kind of hard working midfield. So how will Verratti potentially kind of enter there? Who's going to be the main CDM? Is it going to be Idrissa Gueye? Is it going to be Danilo Pereira? All of these questions, these incognitos, still surround PSG, and I think it's very easy to get carried away with the name, with the headline of what this team actually is. But if you put it on paper, I think Pochettino has a bigger task on his hands because he has way too many good players, but not enough room in a single 11 to place them on. Moving now to Group B, we got Atletico Madrid, Liverpool, AC Milan, and Porto, yet another group of death. And I'm not quite sure what's going to happen with this one, but I want to start at the bottom. I think that it's between AC Milan and Porto about who's going to get that Europa League spot, and I'm betting more actually on Porto than AC Milan. AC Milan are a solid team. They're a good team right now in Serie A, but I think that overall, their side as a collective has been getting weaker since last season. And I'm not quite sure whether this team right now, these 23 players that they have under Pioli, will be good enough to be able to battle on all fronts, particularly against very tough opposition in how Atletico Madrid, Liverpool may be. Porto is a very tough team as well, more away from home, more in their own stadium, in Estadio do Dragão. But I'm not quite sure. I think that Milan doesn't have the tools right now to be able to cement a kind of proper challenge for this group. Then Porto third, and I'm gonna go on top. We have Liverpool, we got Atletico Madrid. Liverpool from here are gonna be the first ones to be on top. I think that their campaign so far in the Premier League have been really, really good. I'm doing this video before their third match against Chelsea, so I'm not too sure how they're gonna test up against the proper biggest teams in Europe. But we know that with Van Dijk back, with a Diego Jota, which is just absolutely going ham and scoring, they got a pretty good side. And Atletico Madrid are doing the same in La Liga, but I believe that this Liverpool better consolidated themselves are at one level up above of what Atletico Madrid can provide right now. And that's why I'm going to put Liverpool first, then Atletico Madrid, then Porto, and finally at the end, disappointingly, AC Milan. Group C is also a very tight group. We got Sporting de Lisboa, Dortmund, we also got Ajax and Besiktas. There's many different grounds here which are famed because of their harsh environments, and particularly their fan base. I'll say that Dortmund, I say Ajax, I say Besiktas. I think that particularly Sporting will struggle, but I wouldn't be that surprised for them to get some few points here and there. This one's actually the hardest that I have to predict, because I have to predict for the top place and then the one second behind. For the top, I'm going to go with Dortmund. I think that Borussia Dortmund here, keeping Erling Haaland, introducing Donjan Malen, for instance, they have a good system on charge. They just lost a few days ago before recording this video to Freiburg, which isn't the best result, but I back Marco Rose to come good here in the Champions League, particularly against a lopsided, I would say, group here in Group C. Then the one after that, I'm gonna go with actually Sporting de Lisboa. I think that Sporting were a pretty solid team last season in Liga NOS, and I think that particularly them are gonna be hard to beat. They may not come here second because of many wins, but many draws. And draws here, not losing, are important in the Champions League, particularly in the group stages. It's going to be a quiet shout, and if there's going to be an underdog, I'm certainly going to say this prediction of mine is the one that is most risky per se. But I believe that the team that they have right now, good players like Pedro Goncalves, other ones like Joao Cabral, we have perhaps a team that could surprise a few. And Besiktas and Ajax, which are two grounds, are also going to be very tough. They of course have a chance here. I think that between all of them, they're going to be fighting for one. But if I just have to put my hand in the ring for a team, I'm going to put it for Sporting de Lisboa. Group D is almost a repeat of the one last season. We got Real Madrid, Inter, Shakhtar, and then Sheriff. Sheriff are a new debutant from Moldova here in the Champions League, which I've been following them a little bit of their history because they got a Peruvian in their team, one of their main center backs. And yeah, I think that's kind of as far as I'll go with them, because I do not think they're going to be able to, of course, battle it out against the teams like Madrid and Inter, particularly in an Inter side that we see they're still carrying the same sort of form in Serie A so far, beating 4-0 Genoa, and it's kind of paying them off. And then you take a look at Real Madrid under Ancelotti, who knows this competition very well and knows how to grind out results. I do not think that they're going to be able to surprise these teams, particularly at home or neither away. And then also we have Shakhtar, which are still a difficult team, but not as good as they were last season. So I do think that Real Madrid and Inter are going to be battling for the top spots, and Real Madrid finishing top, then Inter second, because I think that Inter are perhaps not that well suited in Serie A. And last time around, they kind of ditched the Champions League because they wanted that title. They wanted that domestic title. So they kind of just wasted out the Champions League, decided to play more for La Liga, and it kind of helps them for that. It helps them for the league. But this season, they're not going to do that. So I think that Inter really want to play a little bit in Europe because they need it. I know some fans from Inter, they kind of desperately want it. So I think that's how they're going to focus here. So I'm going to go with Real Madrid first, then Inter de Milan, then Shakhtar Donetsk, and finally at the end, unfortunately, Sheriff. Group E, we got Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Benfica, and Dynamo Kiev. This is my dear group in Barcelona. My team there are going to be facing the side that beat them 8-2. And of course, it's going to be a tremendous kind of just cracker of a game, but I'm going to be so freaking nervous. Because of course, our team doesn't have the best player in the world anymore in Lionel Messi. But if there's something that kind of makes me smile a little bit or think of what we could do is, well, the first is that Bayern Munich, they look solid, but they look a little bit flimsy because it's taking Julian Nagelsmann to kind of really instate his philosophy in this team longer than usual, because I think the fact that he's a younger manager, perhaps he's going at the biggest club ever he's been in his career, he's taking a little bit of time. You know, he's not adapting as quickly as he used to before. He's really not playing that back three that we know that he knows and loves. So it's kind of, he's evolving as a manager, but also the club, and it's some time that they need to get used to. And the fact that the group stages are in the first half of this season, I think could be suited to Barcelona because Koeman already has more of a system in place. Koeman is not a better manager per se, but certainly something that could come their way and be useful if time needs be. I also feel that Barcelona losing Messi collectively, perhaps they could be getting a little bit better. I think that players like Memphis Depay, Antoine Griezmann should really step up to the table, and I'm still waiting on Philippe Coutinho to see how he does. And if we see the return of youngsters like Ansu Fati, Oscar Mingueza, new rise like Serginho Dest and Eric Garcia per se, Pedri of course, I think that this team have better legs. I think this team works harder. I think that this team looks nothing like the team that Barcelona lost to A2. And I'm not telling you that certainly we're gonna be better. I'm not telling you that Barcelona may beat Bayern Munich, but I think they can be more competitive. I think that Bayern Munich, of course, are gonna be the team to beat here in this group, and that is why I'm gonna put them still on first. I feel that Bayern Munich has everything in their own side of the table to kind of lose it, where Barcelona could be silently over there looking at how Juventus, for instance, nicked the first place from them in the last day of the group stage. If Bayern Munich draw a game around here against Benfica and Dynamo Kiev, which are tough teams in fact, and Barcelona does so as well, I feel that there's a place or a room for either one of these two teams to finish first. But that's how the importance is going to be relying on particularly those two teams, Dynamo Kiev and Benfica. I think Benfica are solid right now, and I think that Benfica, with the incorporation that they has made, like Yaremchuk, I'm really excited to see what he can do. Dynamo Kiev will also kind of provide a similar sort of opposition. And those teams battling out for Europa League, I do think that Benfica will finish on top of that. I'm gonna go as follows with that. I think that Bayern Munich will finish first, Barcelona second. I'm gonna go with Benfica third, and then Dynamo Kiev fourth. I'll be excited to watch every single game. Of course I will, because this is particularly a very tough group, and Barcelona could go out. There's a real possibility, but I think that Koeman now, with the pieces that he has, the tools in place, he should be able, he must be able to progress to the next stages. In Group F, we got Villarreal, Manchester United, Atalanta, and also, let me check, Young Boys, of course, not to forget about the Young Boys. But Villarreal, I think that with this group, they're going to be happy. I was a little bit worried about Villarreal because they are certainly in pot 1, and that means that they may get two very difficult teams. After that, I think that Atalanta and Manchester United could be beatable in a way. Villarreal has already beaten Manchester United. If they can keep a draw in the latter stages of a game, they could certainly come out with 1 point from those matches in Old Trafford, or a game, for instance, at El Estadio de la Cerámica. But against Atalanta, I do think that they could have a potential edge. I think that Atalanta are weaker than from previous seasons, but likewise, Villarreal can also provide, we don't know, they can be a real surprise, I think, here. Manchester United are going to be the favorites, of course. The incorporations of Sancho, Varane makes them a real threat. Going forward, Manchester United just look dangerous as ever. We still have questions to answer about what they can do against low blocks, and that's particularly where Villarreal could come in handy for them, their style of play. And I think that because of that reason, Manchester United will finish first, then Villarreal second, and Atalanta third. I think that Atalanta may not be suited with their open style. I think they could potentially lose 2 games against Manchester United, and losing 2 games on a roll, on a bounce, could be potentially negative, and I think that certainly that could be a hindrance for Atalanta. I do not see Atalanta proving that much challenge to United, more so to Villarreal, but Villarreal are solid. Emery always makes a pragmatic team, and that could be able to get them past in this group stage. Moving now to Group G, we've got Lille, Sevilla, Salzburg, and Wolfsburg. I want to place Lille at the bottom of the list. Unfortunately, I think that their team is just weaker from last season. I think that the new manager perhaps is not getting things right so far. And we see that a big part of their success was certain Christophe Galtier. Galtier now moving to Nice. Nice looks like the Lille of last season. They are dangerous always. They are like dominating the games, and their pressure is incredible. We see a Nice side that replicates what Lille did before. And what's the only factor in difference? Well, exactly that, Christophe Galtier. Well then, I think this is going to be tough for Lille. I think that on top, I'm going to be placing Sevilla. I think they're the most competitive out of these sides. They're playing not in the better league, but I'll say in the better group of teams per se in what the Lille league offers. Then I'm actually going to go with Wolfsburg. I'm going to be surprised with this selection, and Salzburg, I'm going to put them in the Europa League. I feel that actually between Salzburg and Wolfsburg is going to be very, very close. I do think that Salzburg are a very good team, and I'm always surprised with what they can do. I remember still a few seasons ago, they reached the semifinals of the Europa League where they lost against Marseille, if I'm not wrong. And yeah, they were always a pretty good team, and they managed to rebuild constantly. And the additions and the departures don't really seem me to affect. It's all about the style of play that they have, and their kind of Gengar pressing is on top of this world. So I really back Salzburg to potentially nick the second spot from Wolfsburg, but let's wait and see. And then in Group H, we have Chelsea, Juventus, Zenit, and Malmo. This is a group that particularly I see them finishing just like they are. I think that Chelsea are right now the best team in the world. The way that they dismantle Arsenal really easily, not going even into third tier, is just superb. Juventus, without Cristiano Ronaldo, if he potentially goes to Manchester City, they're going to be certainly weaker. And I do not think that they pose perhaps the right tools to be able to beat Chelsea at this point. Thomas Tuchel is such a mastermind, and I do, of course, back him to be able to come up with a plan to be able to nullify whatever Max Allegri can do. We take a look at Zenit, and perhaps the most recent sort of presence that they've had is after a very long while, and I see them being competitive in this side, potentially drawing or trying to push for a point against Juventus. Chelsea, I do not think they're going to be able to touch them. And then even Malmo, a side from Sweden who also have a Peruvian, Sergio Peña, other attackers really, I tell you, but I do not think it's going to cut it. I feel that Chelsea are just too strong, and Juventus as well. They have the right players to be able to get some winners. Federico Chiesa coming out from an incredible Euros, and it's going to be a huge, I would say, a huge tool for them right now without the departure of Ronaldo even, and even if he goes, even more so. Kulusevski, new players coming into the fold, they just look settled. So Chelsea first, Juventus second, then I'm going to go with Zenit third, and Malmo at the bottom. So that's going to be it for right now, guys. Hope you have enjoyed. These are my group stage prediction for this video. Group A all the way to Group H. Let me know in the comments down below who do you think is going to be progressing. And like I said before, go check out our podcast on the Engine Room, Spotify and Google Podcasts up now. You can go and check out our latest video, which we talk about Pedri, and also our live reactions on the channel. Subscribe for more content just like this one, and I'll see you tomorrow for another video. Bye bye. Take care.